Welcome guys. So I'm just doing a live on my Facebook group at the moment as well, so I'm doing on 2 streams. So if you haven't heard of me before, my name is Paul Quentin. I've just patented a new modality called the Alignment Modality. You can check out all my stuff on my website, www.alignmentmodality. There's actually only 3 W's, not 4. www.alignmentmodality.com. All my information's there. Stephen will put it up on YouTube anyway. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about where we're at, where we're going, what's happening on the planet. I'm going to repeat a couple of things because I feel that, you know, as we're changing in consciousness, our planet, you know, we're not really shifting as where we should be shifting at the moment. In some ways, we are still moving backwards. You know, and the energy on the planet, the shadow energy, that is the other end of the spectrum, which is part of our duality, we're denying that on a micro macro level. So on a micro level, we're denying our emotional body still, that denied repressed trauma in our subconscious. The physical suitcase of the soul is the hypothalamus. So a lot of people are having different ailments going on in the body, especially on anything with hormonal at the moment. It's probably going to be coming from the hypothalamus, and because the hypothalamus after the heart is the second thing to form. Well, first we have the meridian system that lays foundation, then the heart, then the hypothalamus. So all our dysfunctional coding, belief systems, manifestations of our traumas will get wired into that hypothalamus via the meridian system, and then that sets us up for this lifetime. And of course, you know, when we pass over from a lifetime, we literally just take off from where we left off, so you can't really escape anything. So we're in a great time to release that which is unconscious to us, and clear this heavy burden of our ancestral line that has been holding us back. And if you go into a lot of the ancient medicine or tribal medicine and elders, they work very much with the ancestral energy because they're very much aware that a lot of our dysfunction on the planet and our continued cycles of trauma and suffering is because of that ancestral energy that's not released. Now, every time someone incarnates on that ancestral line, they have the opportunity to start releasing certain amounts of energy, of issues. You know, and a lot of the times we're obviously living from those, and that's the voices in our heads is mostly the ancestral energy. And when we do ancestral healing, you find a lot of times that those voices will sort of disappear. And you're not actually, you know, you're a lot of people get caught up in this genetic dysfunction. You know, that, you know, I'm going to get heart disease because my mother had heart disease, my grandfather had heart disease. But what actually it is that it closed down heart chakra, for example, if it's around the heart. So you inherit the emotional pattern. And yes, there are some hereditary issues in the physical, of course. But any disease or illness it has an emotional or mental host. So of course, if you clear the emotional energy behind why your ancestral energy continues to get heart attacks, then if you clear that, then of course there is no need for you to have a heart attack, because you are living in the moment with spirit. When you live in the moment with spirit, which is also your soul body, you're going to be shown everything that you need to shift, and it's going to be basically handed to you on a plate. And that's the beauty of our current time where we are now, is that we are being gifted with an easy way out. Now the hard part is trusting that which we cannot see, the unseen world, and having strength, a little bit of courage to go into that emotional body, because most people do not want to feel their pain or their trauma. They believe it defines them. They believe that they're going to get a heart attack if they go into it, or they're going to collapse, or whatever their belief systems they've created around denying it. And of course, you know, that further enhances the suffering. We continually repeat our patterns. We keep drawing in the same experiences with other human beings. And of course this exhausts us, and you know, as a race now we are exhausted because we've been denying the very aspect that keeps our heart beating, which is consciousness. And I'm going to read a channel message off about that in a minute, which is more around sort of current times. And just to sort of give a little bit of perspective as well from Spirit. We'll be doing a few more messages for next year coming in January, where we're going, what's happening. But at the end of the day, you know, if we are believing that we are still separate from our galactic family, from the unseen world, we will continue our suffering, basically, because we are not allowing ourselves to integrate with the collective consciousness. Now, the first doorway through to integrate is to heal our emotional bodies, so that way then the soul can become more present around the human being, because in actual fact we're actually inside our souls. Our souls are always around us. We are just a hologram, if you want to call it that, because we are, obviously the physical is an illusion. We are here to lose ourselves, to lose our identity, to then find ourselves. I spoke about this on the weekend, about the divine algorithm of the 1 and 0, which is the prime creators, male and female aspects, coming back into alignment, so we can come back into alignment. A lot of the planets are changing their vibration, so we can start to soften our approach back into the soul body. We're getting a lot of support. Now, this divine algorithm of the 1 and 0 is the original imprint that was laid forth through intention, that then brought physicality into manifestation. Now, this got cut off, so we could have the experience of separation, of denial, of abuse, of abandonment, which all human beings are going through, have gone through, and which are now trying to release. So what's actually happening is that original algorithm of the 1 and 0 has sent itself out into the universe. And it's not just on this planet, there's many planets that are stuck like us at the moment. However, in our galaxy, we're pretty much the only one left behind. But there are a lot, well, that's not true, because there's about 40 million planets just in our galaxy, but a lot of people are looking at Earth now because we are resisting change. So this algorithm is sent out. Now, it will come through many mediums, many conduits, and when I say mediums, I mean in different planets, different frequencies. I'm not talking about human mediums. Obviously, the sun has been instrumental in our awakening, our progress. It's been there since day one to assist us. That's why many of the ancients would communicate with the sun. You could call it the physical manifestation of the creative force, of the male force, because it's light. Light carries information. Light is love in active form, bringing intelligence, inspiration. And it's actually that light that's carrying that frequency at the moment. So in order for us to receive that divine algorithm, which will then bridge ourselves back into divine consciousness or collective consciousness, we have to be clear. Now, of course, the emotional body, the ancestral line are the two fundamentals, but misinformation, which is dividing ourselves, is the problem. So as we continue to play into this false narrative on our news outlets and all the rest of the stuff going on at the moment, what's actually happening is we're further dividing ourselves, and when the cells are divided, you cannot connect in with this divine algorithm because it doesn't have anywhere to ground, because energy is unilaterally polarized. Now, only when oscillation can start to swing, and oscillation is the foundation of the universe. Everything swings in the magnetics of oscillation. Particles, molecules, everything swinging. Same as the tide going in and out. It's collective consciousness in and out. The breath in and out. Everything is in oscillation. So what happens is the disease, for example, in the body, you have a unilateral emotional hold. It's not allowed to swing, so it causes dysfunction. So again, if the cells are divided, energy is not oscillating. When energy is not oscillating, you cannot ground light into the body. And this is a lot of what certain poisons, and I won't go into the whole thing, but certain things that are being injected into us at the moment are actually shutting down the light in the cell to stop you from receiving this divine algorithm. I'll just leave that there for the moment. So unfortunately, if you are allowing yourself to be led down false paths constantly through your own fear belief systems, then of course it's much harder to break the cycle. But if you get inquisitive and go, hang on, there's something fundamentally wrong here, something needs to change, and you feel that within you, and you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're tired of the struggle, of suffering, staying in survival mode, if you can get in touch with that feeling and just be honest with it, that energy, it's like when they say when you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up. Well, we are at rock bottom right now. We can't go any lower, really. Oh, well, we could destroy ourselves. However, we are emotionally exhausted, which is rock bottom, and physically in a lot of cases. This 9-to-5 slave model that we've been bled into is obviously exhausted people. It's ruined families, it's ruined our connection to the source, it's ruined many, many things. However, we don't, again, want to create a divide about the way it's ruined. What we're trying to say is that that experience no longer needs to be. We don't need to be on this perpetual wheel of suffering any longer. We've hit the rock bottom, we've lost ourselves completely. Now the only way is to re-find ourselves. Now the only way you can do that is to get inquisitive, because inquisitiveness is the change in the vibratory rate that the energy that you're stuck in can use then to start moving this oscillation in the cells. So as soon as you get inquisitive, that awakens something in your cells, in the body. Now, if you can follow that inquisitiveness, you follow the excitement, you follow the new choices that are coming up in you, trusting the feelings, looking for the synchronicity instead of narrow-minded, tunnel vision every day, and start peripherally looking at your life and just having that intention in the morning, then those cells will start to swing. The energy will start to ignite, and then you will start to ground more truth, more awareness. And in actual fact, this truth and awareness is already within us. We're just conditioned not to feel it. So we're just peeling back the onion layers, so we can feel our truth, feel our power. Remember that we are sovereign beings, that we are universal beings, that we are multidimensional. And then what can happen is that can create extraordinary things in our lives. And what will happen is, all the wonderful souls that have come onto the alignment modality in this last year, most of them are starting to see that shift already. And the best thing what's happening for them is that, yes, there's bringing up a lot of stuff to resolve, which is fantastic, because if you didn't feel it, you couldn't resolve it. But they're also experiencing spirit, they're experiencing consciousness, heightened intuition, they're experiencing the soul taking over, and it's just creating things in front of them where they don't have to put all that mental willpower, male energy into creating something. That struggle, got to work hard to get it. That's redundant. It was always redundant. It was just part of the experience. But the true spiritual warrior stands still and draws everything to them, because they know there is nothing to worry about, because it is infinite abundance of all materials, everything you can muster. The universe is infinite. We are infinite. There's no such thing as scarcity. This is a 3D illusion, and of course we are polarized into that. And of course, the information on the planet is so draconian that it keeps us in the base chakra, in survival mode. And I spoke about this before. Even Brexit, even this whole COVID thing, this is all to keep us in our base chakra, in survival. And of course, it's creating division now between people as well, which is, of course, is a problem. But more importantly, it's that energy in the base chakra that is exhausted, and that's looking for the love of that divine feminine. And this is what spirit of trying to get human beings to wake up to, that we need to start embracing this feminine energy within ourselves, because as men and women, we are both male and female. Of course, there is that, there's fire and water in our bodies, if you want to look from an elemental point of view, and everything always has to be in balance. And of course, we're not in balance most of the time, because we deny our sensitivity, we deny our intuition, we deny our creativity, and we deny our inner child. And this is all part of that feminine expression, okay? And until we can bring that in and start softening the hardwired human beings that we've had to become to survive here, then of course we will obviously continue our suffering on a macro level. But more importantly, the inquisitiveness and the imagination and coming back and using your imagination to create what you want as well is very, very important, because that starts to awaken the empowerment, the sovereignty within us. And these are our God-given gifts, if you like, that we're all born with. So we need to start using them again, because we have to change the vibratory rate of information that we are ingesting into our bodies, into our cells. Until you say, put your hand up and say, look, there's something fundamentally wrong here, you'll stay in that division, you'll stay separate in your cellular body. And it all comes down to cells. Many people have spoken about cells on multi-levels. Scientists, mediums, psychics, seers, doesn't matter. The cells are how we transform light between other human beings. It's how we ground the light on the planet, and it's how we wake each other up through cellular information. And as I said to all my students, the more you work on yourself, you're changing your vibratory rate, you're changing your cellular output. So when you walk down the street, you're talking to your family, wherever you are in your workplace, if you've transformed that cellular information, as soon as you sit near someone or walk past them, they're going to pick it up in your auric field. If they're ready, they're going to take that information as well, because their cells are looking for it. So everything's passed unconsciously. So every human being can do something to assist the planet, to assist human collective consciousness, and to assist their own lives by just being present in the moment with how you're feeling. Okay, because that is the fundamental key, is about being present and coming off of this timeline, this linear line. Because if you're worrying about the past, or in regret, guilt, whatever of the past, fear of the future, again, you are unilaterally, you are polarized. You've got your energy here and your energy here, but the only way you can become sovereign, we can become sovereign beings, is to be present. Because then when you're present, you can receive divine current. Divine current cannot ground in two opposing forces. It just doesn't work that way. So again, this is all about information, correct information now coming through. Everyone deeply in their subconscious, in their soul body, is aching to hear and awaken to the truth. But again, inquisitiveness, keep saying it, that's the one energy that's going to define your suffering or your freedom. And that is the doorway, that's the first doorway in, is to put your hand up, question the narrative, but question your own narrative. You know, why do I keep repeating these patterns? Why do I keep attracting this person? And you need to sit with those feelings when they're present with you. Because if someone keeps triggering anger in you, it's not the person's fault that's triggering the anger in you. It's your fault, because you haven't. I don't like to say fault. Sorry, I should reword that. It's your projection, shall we say? You're getting angry with that person because something within you is unresolved. They're triggering you to trigger the anger in you. Don't forget this. This is an illusion. So you have to have perpetrators or annoying people in your life to trigger those feelings in you, so you can resolve them. If everyone's all happy, la la la, no one's ever going to evolve. You know, we have to go into the shadow energy. We have to have shadow reflected back to us, so we can transform ourselves, which is denied and repressed. And we are masters at repressing and denying things. This is why we still follow this false leadership on the planet. I mean, come on, it's so overt now. And this is what I spoke about this before, and I'll say it again, you know, the energy on the planet, the shadow energy, is trying to release itself as well. It knows at its heart that it's done here, that it cannot evolve any further, that its experience of duality, of separation, is finished. So it needs to release itself, including the people that are holding that shadow energy. So they are making it so overt now, overtly stupid. And we've just had it in England with the Christmas party, with our leaders having a Christmas party, because it's meant to wake up normal people that are just blindly believing in authority without questioning it. It's meant to wake up the man on the street that just doesn't listen, that just follows blindly. Because when those people wake up, then we can, as a planet, can start to transform. So we have to have obviously a lot of patience with the people that are still following the narrative, because they're just misinformed. and they're in fear most of the time, and that's okay. So we have to find ways of gently getting them to assist them in our own lives, obviously. But what's great about that energy now, like I said, it's become so overt. Light and dark is connected. It's always the same energy anyway, but it's come face to face now, and it's literally becoming one energy. It's becoming one energy again. It's not separate anymore. You're seeing the light and dark as one force, continually serving each other for the experience here. So what I was saying is, all of this stuff that's going on in the news, all of this hypocrisy, there's never been one set thing that's been straight about anything, even Brexit that we had here, COVID. There's been no correct information given as a fact or a standard. It continually oscillates. They change their mind. It's fickle, and it's that experience, what you're seeing, that yes, of course, it's causing frustration in people, but that frustration is meant to be there to make you question, to say no more, to change, and it is starting to happen. Thank God. Thankfully, it's finally starting to shift a little bit. And even on the mainstream news, which is obviously, has its agenda, there are pockets of information where people are standing up and saying, yeah, well, this is ridiculous. And you wouldn't normally do that on mainstream news, because obviously that, that's a shadow energy outlet. So again, it is breaking through it finally. Next year is still going to be a year of sorting all this out. It may move into 2023 a little bit, but the light should start to come on full force in a year, 18 months or so, if we start to wake up. But like I said, the shadow energy is saying, look, hey, we're doing this to you, wake up, say no to us. And it's right in our faces now, so we just need to just be inquisitive, say, right, there is something wrong, right, I want some new information. There's so much information out there now behind the mainstream news, the real truth, and of course when you read, there's a lot of misinformation in the alternate as well, don't get me wrong. So when you read it, you need to feel it. Does that feel right, what I'm reading? And if it doesn't feel right, there's a difference between, your mind is going to debunk things anyway because it's programmed, it's conditioned. But the feeling, you get the goosebumps, you get that sensation in your body. Oh yeah, that feels right. Oh yeah, I just know that. When you get that, then you can trust that information. When it's like, oh yeah, it's not quite right, And the good thing is, there's a lot of this misinformation stuff that's written. It's the same as all these fake emails that they send, I'm from this, pay me this, blah, 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 and all these different, scams that are going on. The English, the writing is terrible, the grammar's awful. And you can tell straight away. So you can always just tell from the grammar. So just look at that as well. But just more importantly, the feeling is your true guide. Feelings will never lie to you. Feelings are your truth, a universal language. The reason we are feeling beings is because we are 90% pretty much water. And of course, feelings are multidimensional, and feelings can move multidimensionally. And they move through water with no restriction. So this is really important, that the clearer you are emotionally, the easier it is to feel the truth, universal current. And when you're in an alignment with that current, your life transforms. Misinformation does not pass. It doesn't fool you anymore. You're aware of things, you're conscious of what reality, you're conscious of your own being, you have sovereignty over how you feel and what you do. And of course that creates a frequency or vibration in your cells, and that of course pushes away false, shall we say, information, people, and of course then you become very much sovereign over your own energy field, which is important, because everything's magnetic here. So if you're constantly in fear or in anger, you're going to attract astral energies, or you're going to attract human beings that have that same energy, and then that of course is going to cause conflict somewhere. How many people do you talk to? They're always in conflict with their friends or families, always conflict going on, because they're not conscious of the patterns that are creating the conflict. which is the denied, repressed trauma, or their emotional belief system, or their belief system, or emotional energy. So this is so important now that we work on ourselves. You cannot fix the planet until we fix ourselves anyway. We're trying to do all this fixing on the planet, but you can't until you change the consciousness within the individual. Nothing can fix outwardly, because everything has to be inwardly done first. Then that projection of inward intelligence, inner awareness, will then manifest into the physical. That's how the planet changes on a physical. So again, it's about not looking outward anymore, but looking inward. You will not find answers outward anymore. It's impossible. And the soul, everyone's soul will not allow them to go down that road anymore, because it's a dead end. Or it's not a dead end, it's an endless end of suffering. And it's not going to go anywhere. It's pointless, it's a waste of time. And we waste many, many lifetimes repeating the same old patterns, not breaking the cycles. But we've been gifted this life with the opportunity to come into the present moment very, very quickly. And it's almost like electric coming into the body, and things are shifting very, very fast for the person that's putting their hand up and going, right, I'm ready to transform myself. And that is being inquisitive. That is saying, right, I'm ready for something new, ready for some change. And as soon as you do that, synchronicity, the soul will just chuck things in front of you. Right, go and do this, see this person. That's how we sort it out. And it's all laid in front of you. You just have to be, but you have to be active, you have to be open. And then wait to receive what the soul wants to give you. So I'm going to read off this message now. Okay, so it's just a short one today. So I just put on current times. I channeled this about 2 hours ago. Okay, many believe an end of time is occurring. And in truth, it is. But it's not what you think. Many are waiting for the second coming, or for us to appear. Well, there is no second coming, because you are the second coming. You, the brave souls that are walking upon the planet now. You are the Christ. You are the God, the alien, the angel, and so on. You are all these things in many walks, in many dimensions. To resist the fact that you are all these beings is the real problem, because until you can accept you are all things, progress on your planet becomes slow and mundane. Frequency is a force defined by its consciousness. And your consciousness, and for your consciousness to change, transform, align, you must change the frequency around you. And there's much we could discuss on this topic. However, to change your frequency, you need to understand first that your thoughts are not aligned with higher principles in most cases. As a race, you are still caught up in basal desire. So higher frequency cannot integrate with a denied human expression. And even when it does, it can often be denied by the mind as some freakish experience. You are all being asked to acknowledge that peripheral movement in the room, that sudden flash of light, the many feathers laid in front of you as you walk around, that whisper in your ear, the strange electrical issues in your house, the lights going on and off. This is frequency looking for your acknowledgement. As a multidimensional soul, you are a frequency of different proportions, and the more aligned aspects of your multidimensional soul are trying to align with you through whatever medium they can to get your attention. You find yourselves in murky waters because you are denying the very essence that keeps your heart beating, consciousness. So you must rise up now and question the narrative that runs your planet, because it's you as a race that are the pioneers, the protectors of Earth's consciousness. And only you can make the necessary changes to enhance equality on your planet. You must all be getting sick and tired of the control on your planet, are you not? And what do you do with that feeling when it comes up? Well, most bury it and vibrate in survival mode, when instead that feeling should be the impetus to say, hey, I want something better. And if everyone could start doing that, then the energy and narrative on your planet will start to change for the greater good. So yeah, just a short little message. So, you know, there's some really good authentic channels out there. I'm talking to a few at the moment. There is bringing the information through that's digestible. And yes, some of it can be overwhelming. You know, even when I've been doing the workshop, few people, there's a lot of information. That's why we give it in manuals so they can read it in their own time. But there's a lot that the mind cannot understand, and this is what happens: is the mind freaks out when change is about to occur, and especially when it's unknown, and even more importantly when you're talking to non-physical entities, and having that experience in your house at the same time. So there's a lot of things that can disembogulate us or get us out of alignment or stop us from going into it. But the most important thing, when we come back, and I say it again, is to be inquisitive in the moment, to be sick and tired of being sick and tired, and to use that energy to say no more. To say no more. And I'm sure many of you have hit rock bottom. You just explode, and it's that explosion of chaos that actually changes your life, and you go, right, I'm doing something else now, and you just let go. And that's the point where you need to be at. And we're all at that point, but we're denying we're at that point. So you need to get in touch with that fear, with that anger. Anger's a great motivator to move things. So get in touch with your anger. Use that anger to go, right, I'm changing. I want something better. And that force of energy, of anger, that if you put that energy out into the universe, someone's going to wake up and listen to you. Not wake up, someone's going to hear you, and you're going to get assistance from higher dimensional consciousness or beings. More importantly, you're going to get direct assistance from your soul, because the soul's going to go, oh, right, he or she's ready, let's do this. So you have to put that frequency out. You can't just say it in your mind. You can't just sit there and go, right, I'm ready for something new, let's do it. That's the ego. You need to feel how annoyed you are. You need to feel how angry you are. You need to feel how alone you are, how abused you've been, how abandoned you've been. Get in touch with that energy, feel it, and say, right, I want something different. Use your pain to manifest light, to manifest love, because the pain transformed into light. Okay? But you have to be conscious of it. That's really, really important now, because if we keep denying our pain, we will not transform ourselves, and we will not transform this planet, and we could be continued to live in this patriarchal, draconian society that we've all had enough of. We've all had enough of it. It's done. We don't need to live by that any longer. And like I said, the perpetrators of that energy also want to let go at the soul level. They don't want to keep perpetrating anymore. They're done. They're tired. They're exhausted. We always had to have shadow beings to give us the experience of separation. So in truth, we must love those shadow beings as well as we love the light beings, because we cannot have any more divide anymore. Division will not bring equality. So it's so important that we look at that on every level. And even that voice in your head that says, oh, you're not good enough, you're stupid, you should have done that. That's division in your own cells, in your own body. So when you get that negative voice, just say, yeah, I hear you, but thank you, I'm not listening to you today. Or just give it love. Say, thank you, I acknowledge you, negative ego, whatever. But just bring your attention to it without allowing it to pull you into the emotional energy. Because as soon as your mind goes, oh, you're stupid, you should have done that, you start to feel anxious, you start to feel no good, worthless. That's the cycle most people are caught in. So be inquisitive in the moment. Be mindful of your own thoughts. There is no, and Spirit have said this, there is no exercise to transform criticism and judgment. You just have to own it in the moment and decide not to do it. And you always replace it. The universal word to cancel a thought is word nullify. So if you get a negative thought and you're putting that energy out, say, I nullify that, and just replace it with something positive straight away. And then you start to change the brain, the neural pathways as well. You start to change the voice, the energy behind the ego. the subconscious programming, basically. So we all have the power to do that in the moment. There's nothing like more powerful than being conscious in the moment when something in your shadow energy is appearing. That's the power to change. You know, intelligence is measured by the ability to change, and that's one of Einstein's greatest quotes. And the other one is, which I love and I put in my book as well, blind belief in authority is the greatest enemy of truth. And that's exactly what we're experiencing right now. Following blindly what we've been told. So until we say no more, nothing can change. So again, put your hand up, question your own narrative. That starts to change everyone around you. The more you go into yourself, then you're affecting hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people around you eventually. Because the light and the consciousness will move through the cell body, and it all moves through the cells. Alright guys, thanks so much, and thanks for the group for listening. I shall leave you all now, and we'll speak again soon. Thanks group, see you soon.